What is up guys, Andy Forrest Runner here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking all about the Nike Zoomx VAPORFLY Next Percent version 1 after 200 miles. So the Hereford 10 miler took us up and over the 200 mile mark in this shoe. 204 miles I think now we have in the version 1 Next Percent. Today I'm going to be going through with you guys, as I always do in these longer term reviews, the wear and tear, how I've been using them, and of course will I be able to continue using them for moving forwards. Now the big question that I want to try and address and answer with this is the fact that this shoe is one of the most expensive running shoes out on the market. Have I found I've got bang for my buck with this shoe? And do I feel like I could consider still racing in it after 200 miles? We're going to be answering all of that today. If you're excited for this video, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and we'll start with the wear and tear. You'll have to excuse the state of this thing. Fresh dried mud from yesterday's race. Need to go and give them a bit of a wipe down. But after 200 miles, the upper, everything is holding up really well, which is really good, obviously, because you are paying such a premium price for this shoe. Now the Vapor Weave, which is the material used on the upper, kind of ticks some people's boxes and not other people's boxes. For me, it works quite nicely. I feel like it keeps my foot in nice and snug. For other people, they don't find it particularly breathable. For me, I've got to be honest with you, the Next Percent version 2 upper is better. I do prefer that upper, but I also don't really have an issue with this upper either. I really enjoy it, to be honest with you. Some people much prefer the V2 to this one. But overall, in terms of how it's holding up, there is some tiny bit of fraying on the back there of the stitching, but literally that's it. Now, after 200 miles of racing and other bits and pieces that we've been using this shoe for, I'm really pleased. Obviously, I bought these shoes with my own money, £240. It's a heck of an outlay, and we'll talk more about that shortly. So I'm pleased that after 200 miles, they're holding up well. The midsole is still going strong. As you can see, as I said, rather dirty, but really good. And the outsole traction is still there. I'm not really making any particular dents, scuffs, wearing down on any part apart from the toe off area is going a bit flat. But in terms of this area here, which is where I predominantly land when I'm in good form, when I get tired towards the end, I do tend to heel strike, the hips sink a bit. But this bit here, as you can see, is looking really good. There is one thing that happened in this shoe, so that's my right foot. At Shepherdine Marathon, I stood on a stone and it took a big old, it hasn't taken a chunk out, but it made a massive old indent into the midsole, which is still kind of holding in there just about, but you're prone to that sort of stuff on that sort of terrain with shoes with exposed midsoles, and with Zoomx being so soft, there is a chance of it getting punctured. Don't get me wrong, we were running on the road, but there was quite a gravelly section and a stone did go right up and in to the shoe. Thankfully, it was in the thicker part towards the back here, which was good. But other than that, in terms of everything else with the shoe, after 200 miles, big thumbs up. So how have I been using this particular version of shoe? I've obviously got version 2s. I've got a few pairs of version 2s, which I've either bought with my own money or Nike have very kindly sent me to use. And I have mainly trained in the Next Percent version 2s or done some sessions in those. And I've really saved these for racing. I might have, since the last update, which was a while ago, getting this into 100 miles, I might have done 1, maybe 2 training runs in this at best. But other than that, I've saved these for marathons. I think I ran the last Shepherdine Marathon in them, half marathons, 10Ks, whatever race I'm racing in, this has become my go-to shoe. I do still stand by the fact that I feel the version 1s are better than the version 2s in terms of the midsole foam. I'm sure there's a difference there. They do still retail on the Nike app for £240. There's a couple of colorways left, the mango one and the white and blue one. I'm very tempted to get myself a fresh pair of version 1s because I personally notice a difference. I know some of you agree with me and some of you disagree with me. I know no technical reason as to why these would be better than the version 2s, other than for me the foam just feels softer, bouncier, and a bit more propulsive. The ones in the Next Percent 2 feel a little bit plasticky, and a little bit less bounce in it. So for me, I've been using it for racing. This has been my go-to race shoe. Just loving that Next Percent version 1 feeling in every single race I do. I find them ridiculously versatile, from anything from a 5K all the way up to the marathon. I'm using them in every single distance. There's not one distance I haven't used this in or wouldn't use it in as well. So I have raced in a couple of other shoes just as testers, but this thing has had the bulk of the racing over the past year to 18 months. So on to the big question, will I continue to use this shoe moving forwards? And then I will also answer, do I feel I can still race in this shoe? Well, I had one heck of a race at the Hereford 10 miler. Now, you know what it's like. Sometimes when you have good races and bad races, sometimes when you have bad races, you're looking at stuff thinking, oh, was it this, was it that? And actually the fact of the matter is, it was a tough old day out there. The winds were crazy. It was just absolutely nuts. It was a hilly course. I didn't get the time I was hoping for, but then be honest with you, I should have completely revised the time that I was going for based on running that course. And it did go through a fleeting second in my mind, has this thing seen its better days now? But I quickly dismissed that feeling, because I still feel like this shoe has life left in it. The one thing that I'm up against now is that I have so many version 2s here. I think I've got 3 pairs of version 2s. I have the VAPORFLY now as well. And I really want to start racing in some other shoes as well. Not that I don't want to race in this shoe, because this is my go-to, but I do really should start to put some more miles in some of the other shoes, especially the VAPORFLY. I've obviously just purchased that with my money. Granted, I got it half price, but I did buy it. I do want to get some use out of it. And so what I'm going to be doing this week is my session this week in the VAPORFLYs, to see if I then feel comfortable doing this weekend's Bourton 10K in the VAPORFLYs or not. If not, I will probably revert back to these. And I do feel like I want to do 1 or 2 more races in these shoes. But then once I've done that, not because they can't, because they can, I just have other shoes that I really need to start cycling in to the rotation. I really need to start getting some use of the Next Percent 2s, because I've still got 1 pair that's had 1 run in them, just sat in the box. So I am going to, after that, probably start using these as a training pair. So the answer is yes, I would continue to use this forward. Yes, I'm going to try and get a few more races out of them, probably 1 or 2 more races out of them. Yes, there's plenty of life left in them. It was kind of a bit of a myth back in the beginning when these shoes came out. Oh, they won't last that long, all this, all that, the other. They have good durability in them. I see a lot of people use these for races, and then when they feel like they're starting to lose a bit of bounce, they reduce them to training shoes. And I see people get 500 plus miles out of these things. And I'm not surprised. This thing still feels like it's got tons of life left in it. So in terms of bang for my buck, I definitely feel like I've got it with this shoe, which is a great thing. It's just going to probably start to get limited to races and start being used a little bit more. And I would love to get this thing up and over 300 miles, to be honest with you, and give you an update after that and tell you how I've been using them in training. It might be another year, but who knows? It's something that I'm very keen to push forward with. When we as runners spend this sort of money on a shoe, it's really important that you get a decent lifespan out of them. So as I said, I'm feeling confident it's got plenty of life left in it, plenty more racing life left in it. But for me, after a couple more races, probably reduced to a training shoe so I can get some Next Percent 2s in the rotation, and also the VAPORFLYs, and then see if we can get this thing up to 300 miles and beyond. So there we go. Those are my thoughts on the Nike Zoomx VAPORFLY Next Percent version 1 after 200 miles. Absolutely delighted to hit this milestone in this shoe. There's nothing better than for me to put out long-term shoe reviews. I do enjoy it. I know you guys love it. I love doing it as well. And I love hitting those milestones. When I checked my Strava shoe log yesterday and I saw this thing, I knew I was relatively close, but I saw it said 204. I was like, yes. I knew it was nearly there, and I thought, brilliant, we've hit another milestone with this shoe, and that's great. As I said, such an expensive shoe, but I'm glad that I've got bang for my buck. And I'd love to hear in the comments below your stories with your version 1s in particular, not so much your version 2s, but your version 1s. How did you find them? How did you retire them? Did you use them in training, or did you just outright stop using them? I'd love to hear what mileage you ended up getting yours to. And obviously, as always, I've asked it before, but do you have a preference between version 1 and version 2? Let me know in the comments below. and let's get that discussion going. That's it from me today though, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video and this update. If you did, please make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.